I'm completely self-sufficient, especially from an energy standpoint. I live without a refrigerator. I used to work in the city, commuting every day from my parents' house to Rome, an hour and a half each way. Now, on the other hand, I've not set an alarm in years. Imagine all of this as just grass. There was nothing here. And with this vegetable garden strip, the first one I had made from start to finish, I ate from mid-May until basically the end of October.
Well, this is now the house, right?
Yes?
Which you're telling me is 24 square meters.
Yes.
Imagine a world in harmony with nature, with others, and with ourselves. A world where people are nourished by diversity and beauty. Do you believe it can exist? Utopia. Discovering dreams that are reality.
My friends, today we are walking again. Luckily, the sun is out and it's only 15 or 20 minutes. And look at this beautiful setting. The river, the horses, the snow. It looks really like a fairy tale. But we have to walk to get to today's story. Let's go. We're always hoping we're on the right road. Hey, Emma.
Hey, Stella.
Hi, Stella. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Bernardo.
What's your name?
I'm Manuele,
I'm Manuele. First of all, how old are you?
30,
What year were you born? 96?
1995. I turned 31 this year.
So first of all, where are we?
We're up in the mountains of the Central Apennines in Upper Lazio. This is a little world that, little by little, I'm trying to create.
What is your story?
Well, it's gonna be a long one. Right after high school, I traveled through Europe, the United States, and Canada, hitchhiking. And I did that for 2 straight years with no breaks. My life was my backpack, a huge 1,000-liter one with all my things. When I was especially tired, I would do work away. So I would stop for 2 weeks, a month, somewhere. I always preferred places, especially in North America, where people lived off the grid, you know? I had all the freedom in the world, but I could never build anything that lasted more than 2 weeks because I never stayed long in one place. And so I said to myself, okay, but now if I settle down, I'll have a boring full-time job and I'm an IT technician, so finding work was not a problem. But I didn't want that. I said, what am I gonna do? And so I decided to, based on the experience I had, I felt that buying a property where I could live completely self-sufficiently, free from utilities and from depending on someone else's paycheck, so I have a part-time job, so more than half of my time is still mine. And basically, I decided that this was the right thing, so I came back to Italy after 2 years of traveling with basically nothing saved at all. I started working. I have always been a minimalist, and my travels made me even more so. So I was able to save a little every month. So with every paycheck, most of it went into savings, and I was saving for when I would find a piece of land I liked. At first, I didn't know where that place would be. This place came along 2 years later in 2019. So basically, it's been 6 or 7 years. Not long after that, I decided to buy it. At first, I was paying for it with a job I had in Rome. Then I got a job offer at a nearby dairy. So I jumped at the chance and moved here, I was 2021, so I've been living here permanently for almost 5 years. And then, especially over the last 2 years, that's when I really dedicated myself freed from full-time work and started creating all of this, and which was as at first all imagined, but just grass. I mean, there was nothing here. There was only that fence behind the solar panels over here. So the first thing was the tool shed. Then came the trailer that planted a whole row of fruit trees, all old varieties. There were about 30 of them. Every year I say, I'm done planting trees, and I always add 2 or 3 more. The real turning point came in April, May of 2024, when I started doing the work to fix up the mobile home, to set up my solar power system, to collect my own water. All my jobs I did on my own, except for transporting the little house, and that's actually it.
So what we see behind us, first of all, are the solar panels. Because
I'm completely self-sufficient from the standpoint, from different standpoints, but especially from an energy. There are 4 500-watt panels each, so 2,000 watts in total, which is way more than I actually need. But since I get very little sun between December and January, I also have storage. There are batteries, of course. I have enough autonomy that if it were night continuously, I would have 3 or 4 nights of autonomy. I have a backup generator for the batteries, but honestly, I haven't used it yet. One important thing, I live without a refrigerator. I stopped using a refrigerator 5 years ago because I cook every day. I do not eat meat, so I do not need to store it. Eggs, cheese actually keep at room temp, so do many vegetables, especially leafy ones. Even 5 years ago, I had a fridge, but it was almost always empty, just taking up space. And I got rid of it and put it in a bookcase. I've never even thought about getting one.
how big is it?
It's 24 square meters, actually a little less, because it's 8 meters by 3, but it's 2.09, so it's a little bit less. There is this kind of terraced area because the slope in front was different. Some work had already been started by the previous owners, but I had to level it out more, and I did it by hand. I seeded this little lawn. I think of this as my little relaxation area in front of the house. I built this awning here, which is essential. I chose to make the roof transparent because I need the sun inside the house in the shoulder seasons and in winter, because in fall and spring and the shoulder seasons, it lets me light the stove only in the morning. During the day, the sun basically eats the house. A solid roof would have been much easier and cheaper to build, but I would have had to cut much more firewood, so I preferred to do it this way.
We will reveal something that we know. You made a little table at the beginning.
No,
It's so beautiful. I must fit it for the beginning.
I finished it yesterday. I finished it yesterday with the last coat of lacquer.
You're missing out on that smell. What smell is that of, what's it called?
This is the lacquer, actually.
The stuff, gasoline. The smell where you're like, man, where are you? The smell where you're like, wow. It's really beautiful. Is this the first table of your...
Yes, I'm especially proud of this table because the top is chestnut, and these 6 boards, they were chestnut logs here on the property, the same material that was used to make that, let's call it a retaining wall. Some friends nearby have a bandsaw, so we made these boards from cutting these raw chestnut logs. And the same for the legs and the benches, which are pine instead, but this also is all wood I found around.
I do also feel like you look like now.
Well, I had lunch here today. I sat down and said, wow, look how awesome this table is.
And so this is home.
This is home.
This is the stove, which I imagine is the queen of the house.
This is the queen of the house. Behind it, I put gypsum board and a sheet. I have to fix this area too, but it keeps the heat from transferring to the walls of the little house. Anyways, yeah, I bake bread in here because this is an oven. And yes, she is the key point. For example, the flue pipe has a triple wall. To make sure there's never any overheating, Behind the fire-resistant gypsum board, there's also rock wool behind both. And this way, I discovered the sheet metal reflects heat in an incredible way. So even when this has been in for 12 hours, the wall behind, and you could sit there, you really get a wave of heat right in the face, you know?
One of the problems could actually be too much heat, you know? Not so much the cold, but the heat because it's small.
At times, even if it's -5 outside, I'm in a t-shirt in here.
It feels good, right?
It feels good now, and you have no idea how hot it was at lunch.
So this is the kitchen? There's the, you could also run the...
I have all the washing machine. Yeah, absolutely. The solar power system is absolutely powerful enough.
So you went from hand washing to the washing machine, huh?
That space was meant for the refrigerator, which I gave to someone, but I put a washing machine in its place.
The slot house is nice, yeah, it's double pane windows.
Yeah, the window frames are excellent quality. The sink is maybe a little small. I have this little dish rack right here. Because otherwise, I don't know where I'd put the dishes. And here's my supplies up here. Bread, walnuts, rolled oats, flour, pasta, brown rice, peanut butter. Yeah, the basics. I buy all the legumes in bulk. Zero plastic and zero packaging as much as possible.
And this is your bedroom over there.
No, my bedroom is this one.
So you have two bedrooms?
Even the luxury 2 bedrooms.
The luxury of 2 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms.
This is my bedroom.
Oh, like nice.
There's a small closet.
In my opinion, it's perfect because it feels good.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit far from the stove.
Yeah.
Here's the closet. It's nice.
And here, there's another little room for guests.
No way.
The bed's not made, and it's also where I keep my books. I have a whole bookcase there. I have 700 euros a month, but I don't use all of it. I did the math. I spend 150 euros a month on food, about 80 or 90 euros on diesel, and the distances are a bit longer here. Every 3 to 4 months, I have to change the gas. Once you no longer have to add things to the property, you know, no longer have to build things and have more or less, I would say the monthly expenses be 400 euros.
How do you describe this lifestyle?
Well, it's very peaceful most of the time. There are times there's a lot to do in the orchard, the garden, or with the firewood, but those are limited periods. Most of the time, I have my own rhythm compared to when I worked. I used to commute every day from my parents' house to Rome, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. Now, on the other hand, I've not set an alarm in years. I wake up early. It's not like I sleep until 10, but I wake up naturally without an alarm. One difficult moment comes to mind. Last January, I came back home and the access road was a disaster because it had rained so much and I couldn't get there by car. I had been there for a few days and it was my first winter. I turned off the solar inverter without thinking that moisture would build up inside it. And I had not emptied the pipes, so I got back home and turned everything on. And the power was not working after I had not even been able to get in the car, and there was a faucet that had cracked from the frost. It was Saturday, the next day was Sunday, so I couldn't go to replace it. I spent 2 days without power, without water. Soon I restored everything right away. I knew there was a solution, but there are moments when, anyway, luckily she was working. She never stops working, the stove. My favorite moment is breakfast here, and soon at the table outside, once it gets warmer, my tea, my breakfast, my book, nobody takes those away from me in the morning. Then I always go for about an hour walk. All my days start like that, unless I have something specific, to go do. After that, I dedicate myself to what needs to be done, which Some might be finishing a little job out there. The day you want to mulch the trees. And that day you go get some manure to fertilize the garden. The day you have to start splitting firewood, like this morning before you came.
Then there's this bathroom with everything, I imagine.
The bathroom I'll show you. There's the shower and the sink.
Ah, okay.
And over there's the toilet, yeah.
Okay.
But the bathroom's small.
Ah, of course. Why do you think it's divided?
In many Eastern European countries, it's like this. And
Ah, okay, so probably.
yeah, in most places in the Balkans, it's like this. But there's also a lot of time when I'm just here and that's it. Not just breakfast, but meals too. Lunch, dinner, I want to have time to cook them, but not wolf them down, but take, my time. I read a lot. There's evenings when I listen to a lot of music. Many times I might spend 2 hours on the phone with a friend. Many times I sit out there when there's that beautiful light, It's really nice to sit on the grass. There are beautiful moments which make up a good 50%. And then the other 50% is work and more tiring things. The garden, the fruit trees, the firewood, and the 3,000 unexpected things that still happen. The meadow is about 8,000 square meters, almost 1 hectare. And then there's the 3 hectares of woods behind here.
How much did you pay for it?
30,000 euros.
Which is not...
Not much.
Not much.
Not much.
And there's also the spring, you tell me.
More than one. Spraying alone is my default mode. When I feel like interacting, it's my choice. I go out and seek it, In the city, it's often the opposite, where even if you want to be alone, you're still surrounded by people who have to leave to find solitude. I, on the other hand, want being alone. I genuinely feel good. This is the sink I was telling you about. Don't mind the leaves inside. I don't use it in winter. This is fed by that tank, which is the irrigation tank, which I use from spring to fall, and it brings water to all the trees down there too.
This is the woodshed because I imagine you use wood.
I use wood exclusively.
And you do
Yes.
make the firewood?
This is from the trees that either fell on their own or were unstable, dangerous for the structures and for me. So far, I don't really needed to touch, the woods. So yeah, the wood fire is all here, and this is the tool shed.
I imagine you build this gradually.
This is the first I built, is the shed. The first thing I didn't even have a place to keep all the basic tools. Amongst the first things, I hate the brush cutter, okay?
Okay.
Because it makes noise. The first things I bought was a hay scythe, because I cut the grass with this.
Great. I think you're a little few in Italy. I don't know of how many cut with this, but I think
it's epic.
No, I agree.
It's faster because I have a long blade,
Yeah. There's more cuts, more grass.
Then I dry the grass and use it as mulch for the trees.
So you didn't have any practical skills when you arrived?
Actually, no. I had practical skills I thought were the volunteer experiences from work away, But it's not like I had built a house or taken care of a garden from planting to harvest. Bits and pieces of this and that. And this shed proves it, In the sense that if you look at the roof, everything is extremely rough.
And then you do it yourself, all by
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, it's extremely rough. The floor, for example, is the first time I'd ever mixed concrete. It's all uneven. If we look at the veranda outside the house, it's done another way.
You learned.
Because I did this first, then the woodshed, then that, and you'll learn,
And so how did you learn? From books, the internet?
From books and the internet, yeah.
What do your friends and parents say about this choice?
Well, now they're all extremely supportive.
I would do like now.
Now, in the most recent period. But to be honest, I bought the property and told my parents after it was already done.
Well, that way, right? After it was done.
Not that they did not agree, not that they did argue, but clearly they had some fear concern, because I'm the first one of 3 generations in my family who started doing these things. But they're all completely excited, of course. In the summer I sit, a lot of times I sit here. She always follows me because here there are, I don't know, 5 or 6 degrees less. A lot of times I sit here, maybe even half an hour in silence. She's always with me. I enjoy the cool air during the hottest hours of the day, I read quite a lot, so every now and then I might bring a book. Nothing special, basically this, either one thing. Yeah, peacefully. And then a lot of times you're in those moments, when you sit, because I don't want to say that after a while you take it for granted, but there are moments when you really feel it. When you say still, look where I'm at. And you start thinking about all the goals you've reached, So, little by little, month after month, because in any case, you can measure the progress in months, not even in years. And so you get the sense of satisfaction,
So this is the orchard you were telling me about?
This is the orchard, about 30 trees, all old varieties. And here too, last year, for the first time, I made a little vegetable garden. You could see it, you'd still make it out. This is exactly this strip. With this strip, the first garden I'd made from start to finish. I ate from mid-May until basically the end. And mid-May to end of October. I didn't buy any vegetables. I ate a lot of vegetables. I also had made it, I was down here, I removed it for winter, but there was an irrigation timer. A little drip irrigation system from that tank up there, all by gravity, no pump. And then I mulch everything. Mulched with the grass, I cut with the scythe from around the trees here. So I would only have to harvest, put in new plants, cut the grass,
There are a lot of people who want to change their life like you did, from the city to a setting like this. What advice would you give from your experience?
I would say focus on minimalism right away, because financial resources are needed. They're not a lot, but they're needed to do things in a way that's doable in the long term. I put money aside first, and then I spent it. It's important to do it that way because it gives you more freedom. And after that, you make a plan and you go for it. Because I really came from a city background and upbringing, but I managed to do all these things. I wouldn't be inclined to say that, oh no, you have to be naturally good at gardening or building, Even the solar power system, it's not like I have someone in my family who's an electrician. I studied it, built it myself. From that point of view, I would say you could do anything. It's more about managing resources, knowing how to be alone, and patience. The stress component does not just disappear. It's not that because you no longer commute or smell smog outside, you no longer have stress. Because even the woods, not as seen as a source of well-being. You look at that unstable tree 1 meter from your house, and in that moment, you're not a lover of the woods. You see it as a threat. Once I had not done enough proper maintenance on the stream running through the property, and I clogged up with leaves and branches. It rained a lot. The snow melted higher up. Part of the meadow went and flooded, and it damaged a couple of trees I had planted. It was a moment you don't say how beautiful the weather it is or how beautiful the rain. You say, damn it, that these are all things we can find solutions for. But in that moment, even if your life is not in danger, it feels really rough. You're really stressed, just like you're in many office jobs, But a very good part of this time, you are completely satisfied, relaxed. And I still consider myself luckier than the vast majority of people, without a doubt. And everything you do is for you. It stays with you. You develop a sense of satisfaction. You see everything you know how to do, or you could learn to do, and that definitely makes up for all the bad moments. My plan for the next 5 years is to become self-sufficient, even from a food standpoint. Now, I'm self-sufficient in terms of heating, electricity, water. I would like to get a small walk-behind tractor, fence off a small area dedicated to growing food, plant potatoes, legumes, even a bit of wheat. Because I was a baker, I have my own mill. I buy whole grain wheat from a nearby farmer, and I grind the flour and make bread with it. I'll probably want to dig a cellar on this side
To use it as a fridge?
for storage. When you have potatoes for a year, wheat for a year, apples for 6 months, they have to go somewhere, definitely not inside these 24 square meters. They would take up 12 meters by themselves. So all that is done. I was also a cheese maker for 3 years. So the crown jewel I would like,
Last but not least, cheese too.
I would really like 1 or 2 sheep to make your own cheese for a year, and
And you're set. Happily ever after.
after. Yep.
Utopia. Discovering dreams that are reality.